I mean, people that can't forget the things behind, you know, after they've been born again of water and the Spirit, it's the condemnation of those things that hold them in bondage to sin because they're not able to move on and forget the things behind it, as Paul describes in Philippians 3. You know, it's like the heretic that Paul describes in Titus chapter 3, verses 10 and 11. A heretic, that's the Greek word itself. It's talking about someone who's self-willed, who continues to sin, being condemned of himself. Or as he says in chapter 1 of Titus, verses 15, that to the pure all things are pure, but to the defiled and unbelieving nothing is pure. But even their mind and their conscience are defiled. And this is what the writer of Hebrews is trying to describe, the difference between the old covenant sacrifices and the sacrifice of Jesus, which is able to take away our sin, even as the Apostle John describes in his first letter, his first epistle. You know, in chapter 9, he talks about how those that did the service in chapter 9, verse 9, with those sacrifices, they could never make the one who did the service perfect in regards to conscience. But then he goes down to verses 13 and 14, describing how the blood of bulls and goats and the ashes of heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifies to the purification of the flesh. He says, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot of the flesh, purge your minds from dead works to serving the living God. This is what he continued on to describe the contrast in chapter 10, starting in verse 1, that, you know, the law having a shadow of good things to come and not the very image of those things, with those sacrifices could make the comer thereunto perfect, talking about the conscience, as he did in chapter 9:9. You know, where there should have been no more remembrance of sin once he was purged from it. But in those sacrifices of the old covenant, there's a remembrance made of sins every year. For it's not possible that the blood of bulls and goats should take away sin. I mean, but then he goes on to say how Jesus, this man, after offering his body one time for sin, sat down at the right hand of God, henceforth anticipating. I mean, we've been raised together with him by faith.